to New Realities. I'm Alan Steinfeld, and I'm talking today to somebody I've been wanting to catch up with for a long time. And I don't think there's a better person to talk about the situation we find ourselves in than Paul Levy. He's a pioneer in spiritual emergence. He's a wounded hero in private practice, and his I would say one of your great contributions is your founding of Awakening in the Dream community, and his philosophy and belief, as I know, that we're all in this collective dream. Well, Paul, we are in it now more than ever. Could you find a better example than this to have a collective dream?
I can't imagine something more in alignment. It's sort of like this advertising campaign for my work, for what I've been talking about for 20 years.
Right.
Because I'm talking about that there's a virus that's been wreaking havoc on humanity. I've been talking about this for 20 years, that feeds on fear, and it's invisible, and it's contagious. And it's a mind virus. And the Native Americans call it Wetiko. And I'm in the middle of an article. I've just been writing a lot, but I'm still in the middle of this article where I'm pointing out that the coronavirus is actually this revelation of the Wetiko virus. And that it's a lower level reflection into the 3D, third dimension of our world. The coronavirus is the emanation or the reflection, which is actually showing us the Wetiko virus that is the malady that's afflicting our species. The coronavirus is just a superficial outbreak of that. And so, I'm happy to just unfold my thinking on that, because
it's so brilliant. But I wanted to lay the groundwork in the sense that your work says we are having a collective dream. That's before this even happened.
Right. The whole way, a person can't understand what I'm saying without really getting that. And that's what I began to realize 40 years ago. But I was so ecstatic over realizing it in 1981 that it got me in trouble and got me hospitalized and diagnosed. And I was fortunate just to get out of that as quick as I could, and to continually deepen my understanding of what was being shown to me. And the experience I was having was that, oh my God, we're having a collectively shared dream.
Now you're a prophet, Paul. Now you're a prophet. So it's your
right now. Were before I was mentally ill, so I can pick between the two. But and it's not just me. So many people are saying the same thing. But I was literally having this realization, but because I was expressing it so excitedly or enthusiastically, it freaked people out so much that I just got brutalized and shut down. But I never, I knew I was having something profound happen.
Now we are ready for it more than ever right now.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's I've been writing about the gifts encoded, or the medicine or the vaccine encoded within the coronavirus. And this is one way of actually sort of unfolding exactly what I'm trying to say. Here we are, being forced to socially isolate, but it's actually, it's showing us our interconnection, experientially. So more and more people are having the realization that we don't exist as separate selves, that we don't exist in isolation from each other, that we're actually all on the same side, that we're all interconnected and interdependent. We depend on each other for our very survival and well-being. And that's so in other words, with all of the incredible stress and anxiety, that we're feeling and tension, if we don't get caught by the fear, that's the danger. That's the mental vector that the coronavirus is transmitting. There's the physical symptoms, but then there's the mental aspect of it, which is the fear. If we don't get caught by that fear, because there's this incredible energy available, we're all in shock. We're in an extreme collective state together. What I'm saying is that it's easier to recognize the dreamlike nature because things are so surreal. And when you recognize dreamlike nature, that is to recognize that we're dream characters in each other's dream. By being a dream character, what that means, we're actually reflections, we're embodied reflections of each other, which is to say we're not separate. Right. That's to see through the separate self. That's the major disease of our species, is that we imagine we're separate. The coronavirus is actually, that's the hidden gift. It's showing us that. And by showing us that, it's actually showing us that this dream we're sharing is like this malleable dream. and which means we have a hand in creating it, and actually two hands in creating it, and which is basically showing us that we ourselves are the dreamer. We ourselves have incredible creative power, to actually create our experience of the world. And that's, by the way, that's what quantum physics is showing us. I wrote a book about quantum physics where I'm saying quantum physics, the revelations emerging from quantum physics, they're the medicine for the collective psychosis, for the madness that we're suffering from.
But this
And
is
so
the medicine now, right? We are in the medicine. And would you say that we
it's
collect...
a quantum situation. It's a quantum situation in that, the coronavirus or Wetiko, it's both the deepest poison. It can kill us or it can awaken us. It can be the medicine, but being quantum, just like light, is it a wave or a particle? It depends how it's observed, how this, pandemic manifests as a lucidity stimulator that's going to help us to evolve, or as an incredible nightmare that's like destroying us. It's up to how we dream it. It's up to if we recognize what's being revealed to us.
So, yeah, we'll go into what's being revealed, but I also want to say we must have dreamed this up together because we weren't getting it, what the planet needed, what culture, what we needed to do to meet each other.
Absolutely. We've dreamed this up together. One way of understanding that, people who were like still in denial and thinking, oh yeah, well, we'll get through this and then we'll return to normal. No, to the good old days or to business as usual
There
or
is
whatever.
no normal anymore.
We're never returning back because that was a nightmare. That was the collective psychosis, what we were in that the veneer, everything, was fine. And yet we were enacting collective suicide. There's no doubt about that. We were destroying the biosphere, the life support system of the planet that we depend on for our very survival. We don't want to return to that, okay? So the thing is, from the deeper point of view, we've dreamed up a wake-up, to show us, to actually show us, like our situation, that we're not separate, that we're incredibly creative, and that one of the main sort of symptoms of the coronavirus is we become so entranced by the physical, by out there trying to heal it, which we need to do. We absolutely need to do that. But then we can ignore that it's actually touching us in our own psyches, whether it's an anxiety or stress or fear. And that's the way in. That's showing us that our true power and agency is to be found within ourselves. Okay, so that's another of its gifts.
Can we really heal it if we don't realize that we've dreamed it up? Like when you work with people in your groups and there's like some outside stimulus or some issue comes up in the groups, you say, hey, do you see how you dream that up and what are you dreaming up there? And once you take responsibility for dreaming it up, it sort of shifts. This is what you're asking us to do.
We're all dreaming together, and but the thing I'm saying is that particularly now, people are saying, oh my God, this is so dreamlike. I'm in a sci-fi movie. Everybody is feeling it, everybody around the planet. And what I'm saying is just look at that. Just listen to what they're saying, that this universe is revealing itself to be more dreamlike. That's encoded in the pandemic. And what I'm saying is, what if we utilize that and the way to utilize that is to part of, like I was saying, part of the vector of transmission of the coronavirus is physical and part is mental. And the mental, it can evoke fear. And if we actually don't get caught by that fear, okay, of course we're going to feel afraid. It's a fearful situation, but we don't want to identify with that or get caught by that. And then if you don't get caught by it, guess what? All of a sudden, this incredible opportunity is available to you to recognize the dreamlike nature in a way that it has never been offered to us before.
Right. Exactly. I get it because it is dreamlike. It is surreal. It is, and there is no returning to normal. And I was thinking that if we could realize that it's always this way, there's always, it's not just this time is the dreamlike nature. Yeah, it's making itself obvious. It's like the head of the serpent has revealed its dreamlike body.
Right. And that's the thing. That's what I'm talking about when I say that, I'm correlating the coronavirus with the Wetiko virus. They're both viruses. The Wetiko virus is a higher dimensional virus. It's a virus of the mind, and the coronavirus is its emanation into our physical reality. Well, just look at that for a moment. That's profound, because when something unconscious, when an unconscious content is ready to be assimilated, guess what? It always appears physically. It always gets dreamed up in our life to actually relate to it and engage with it and to objectify it and to see it. That's the process that we actually are able to then eventually integrate it once we recognize that we're looking in a mirror. So the point is that the coronavirus is an actual expression, when you view it from the dreaming point of view, that this deeper unconscious content, Wetiko, which is wreaking havoc on our species, which is the bug in the system that's just in which we're destroying ourselves. The coronavirus is revealing it if you look at it in a certain way. And so all of a sudden, that's another aspect of the blessing aspect of the coronavirus, is that it's showing us this invisible, immaterial, higher dimensional mind virus that, because we weren't seeing it, we were just like becoming instruments for it to act it out. It was acting itself out through us. That's what my work is about, is pointing at that, trying to to turn people on to that. The coronavirus is making my work easier. It's like this neon light just illuminating Wetiko.
Well, because the big thing that you say, and I mean, I don't know you work that well, but you do say what Jung said, you're quoting Jung, what you don't make conscious returns to you as your fate. And,
right.
And this is what's happening. We have not made our collective connections conscious. Right? And
yeah, no, totally. I mean, the way to understand this is from the dreaming point of view, to interpret it just like, say, if we had this dream, we go to sleep tonight and we have a dream that there's, this viral pandemic and it's shutting down the world economy and all that stuff. And you wake up and you go, wow, what an amazing dream. That felt apocalyptic. How would you interpret it? What is the meaning? How would you understand the symbolism? And what I'm pointing at is we can do that. We can view what's happening through symbolic awareness to unlock the deeper meaning, because everybody is thirsting for trying to make meaning out of this, to trying to understand, how can I contextualize this? How can I hold it? How can I understand it? What I'm pointing at is that when you see it with symbolic awareness, and that's what Jung spent his whole life trying to bring in, to trying to initiate people to the profundity of symbolic awareness, because then you realize this universe is an oracle that's always speaking to us in the language of symbols, which is the language of dreaming, by the way. And it's a revelation, that this universe is a revelation. And if we don't get the message, just like a recurring dream, we're fated to then dream up again and again, and in more amplified form, like a wake-up call, like we have now.
So the message, I think, if I'm going to interpret symbols, because I think symbols are here for us to deal with, is that we are one planet. We are connected as one species. What my problem is now your problem. There's no separation. Is this the symbol that you're getting?
Yeah. That's one. The symbol is multi-aspected, like a diamond. So it has multiple aspects, but that's a major aspect. Now, understand something with Wetiko. Before I found that name, I'd written a book about it, and I was calling it malignant egophrenia, ME disease, me disease. It's a misidentification of who we think we are. It's like we hypnotize ourselves into this limited, small identity that's separate from each other, and when everybody or the majority of people are in that state, it's a form of collective madness, and Wetiko is a collective psychosis. So what you were saying, Alan, that's so correct. That, in other words, one of the most profound gifts that's encoded in the coronavirus, it's showing us that the separate self is a mental construct, is an illusion, that to the extent we're identified with being a skin-encapsulated ego, to use a famous term, we've then entranced ourselves by the creative genius of our own mind into this unbelievably limited identity in which we've disconnected from our heart and we've disconnected from our true creative power. And then we're fated to create a nightmare. So here we've dreamed up the coronavirus to reveal to us exactly that. There's a choice we have. what's happening is really scary. If we get absorbed in fear, we're going to create a nightmare, particularly collectively, as because it's so contagious. But if we're able to recognize the dreamlike nature, then it's as if that's what's being offered to us, to like have the recognition that we're participating in our own evolution. Because when enough of us have the recognition of the dreamlike nature and come together, we can literally change the dream. And it's empirically proven in night dreams, when you wake up with your fellow dream characters and you realize what you're discovering, i.e. that you're in a dream, you can put your sacred power of dreaming, is what I call it, the part of you that's dreaming the dream into materialization moment by moment, and you could get in phase with each other and you could literally change the dream. And that's evolutionary. That you can clearly see when you are lucid in your night dreams. What I'm talking about is that that's what's available to us right now as a species in the waking dream.
Well, let's say we become lucid, because now we are lucid. I mean, because pretty much we're saying it's all a dream. So if I was, or we were, if the humanity was dreaming this dream of this illness, disease, whatever you want to call it, hitting every aspect of it, and we're now realizing the dream, what do we need to do to shift that dream?
Right. That's a really great question, because, one of the things I learned from quantum physics is that even more important than finding the right answer is asking the right question. And that feels like the right question. And what I would say the first way in is to really understand the nature of the disease of Wetiko, which, like I say, coronavirus is just the emanation, the superficial emanation.
Wetiko means to define that as the disease of consciousness, our disconnection from ourselves and each other in the world.
What Wetiko is, it's an indigenous term, and it's a collective madness. It's a psycho-spiritual disease of the soul that works through the projective tendencies of the mind in such a way that we hypnotize ourselves.
Use the example we're in now. The reality we thought, I guess, is what you're saying. Oh, everything's fine. We're moving along. The economy's building. Wall Street's up, where everyone's living their own separate lives, or we have enough food. I mean, this is the lie that we've been living, that everything was all right and it was going to be all right and it was going to keep being all right, because we weren't looking at everything, the interconnectedness, the underlying, the people suffering, the people without food. We weren't looking at all that.
That veneer has gotten pierced. That facade is no longer, and it's like the veil, between, everything is fine, and the incredible insanity and evil that we have been complicit in acting out, and notice that I'm not saying those people out there are evil. I'm saying, no, if this is a dream, if there's evil happening, that they're reflecting my own evil, and I'm
our dream.
We're co-dreaming. And so what I was describing about the way with Wetiko that you hypnotize yourself by the creative power of our own mind. So if you're in a dream, and if you see the dream a certain way, the dream, which is nothing other than your mind, will, like I was saying, will reflect back your point of view, offer you the evidence, confirming that it's true. You then become entrenched and fixated in that viewpoint, see it more that way ad infinitum. That's, clear when you see that, if you're in a night dream, it's obvious. Now, what I'm saying is that becoming entranced by the creative genius of our own mind, that's at the source of Wetiko. That's what Wetiko is. We're these geniuses, and somehow this bug that doesn't even exist ultimately, it doesn't exist separate from our own mind, but we then entrance ourselves, put ourselves under a spell in which our genius, instead of creating the world we want to live in, that's, based on who we're discovering ourselves to be, which is not separate, all of a sudden, instead of that, we've been creating a complete nightmare, a hell realm. We've been creating and colluding in creating a collective psychosis. So then, here's the medicine. The medicine, one way the medicine is coming, see, in Tibetan Buddhism, there are these things called the hidden treasures, what's called terma. And it's an actual tradition in Tibetan Buddhism. And basically what it's saying is that, at certain points, like this tradition, when a particular teaching or like a message or whatever in whatever form is needed, to bring the practitioners back to balance because they've gotten one-sided, all of a sudden they will dream up a particular, this terma, this hidden treasure in the universe. It will just unfold. They'll discover at exactly the right moment, the very teaching or blessed object or whatever the form it's taking of the treasure that they need, that will actually, oh, we take this in and we do this practice, or we, whatever the message
It
is.
shows because obviously the medicine has shown up. We've been out of control, out of touch with the environment. You know, now that there's less cars and factories, the air is getting cleaner, the water's getting cleaner. I mean, things are changing because
in a few days, it's unbelievable. So then here's quantum physics. Quantum physics has proven empirically again and again that there's no such thing as an objective world. That to think of that there's something out there objective, separate from us, that's nonsense. That's to be under illusion, okay? That's to be asleep. And then they take it the next step. Quantum physics is then saying the act of observing this universe is actually, can't be separated out, is actually influencing the very universe that we then experience. Now that's profound. That's the observer effect in physics. And what that means is that the act of observation is creative. That we are creative beings moment by moment, but we don't know it. So then our creative genius of our mind, we, like I was describing, hypnotizes ourselves in a way that's killing us. So here, quantum physics is actually a revelation. It's a hidden treasure that has crystallized out of the universe and into our minds at the same time. That is literally offering us the medicine.
Wait, let me absorb that. So because we were not getting the fact that we were destroying the planet, I mean, people talked about it and there were protests, but we really weren't getting the fact that we were so disconnected from each other, from the planet, from ourselves. I mean, now we're forced to be with ourselves. The genius of humans, or this greater mind, dreamed up something that forced us to feel connected, to feel, to put us back into ourselves, to acknowledge the world and the environment.
Right. And the thing about these hidden treasures, and you're absolutely right, that, you know, so the universe through the coronavirus, you know, in one way, through quantum physics, in another way, it's giving us these revelations. It's offering us these treasures, you know, exactly what we need to wake up and get ourselves back in balance. But like one other point is, don't just limit it to the coronavirus or to quantum physics. There's multiple channels. This universe is a multi-channeled, you know, oracle. It's a revelation, continually revealing, you know, itself to us and who we are, to ourselves.
So it's talking to us all the time. You're saying every moment is an opportunity to hear.
Just like a dream, it's speaking symbolically. That's why Jung was so into the profound importance of our species developing symbolic awareness. You know, definitely. And so what I'm saying is that, you know, it's easy to, like in a new age way, go, oh, it's waking us up. Okay, great. Well, what does that mean? What is then our role? Because it's not a passive, you know, understanding. When you realize that we're dreaming, well, one of the things you realize is that, like you were saying, Alan, we're not separate. Well, okay, take a look at all the parts of me out in the dream, all of my dream characters who are really afraid and are creating unnecessary suffering for themselves out of that incredible fear or anxiety, instead of realizing the dreaming, the dreamlike nature. And then when you realize that, you access this incredible, think about quantum physics. The act of observation is creative. How do we want to interpret what's happening? How do we want to place meaning on it? In a way that's going to be killing us and creating fear, or in a way that's going to be freeing us and unlocking our incredible creative spirit that interfaces with the sacred?
Right, so we're calling on the creative spirit because we're actually in a sacred time now. Everyone's locked into their home. There's nothing that they can do except be put back on themselves. So, and what you said before, there's no normal, there's no returning to normal. So we have to take this time to ensure a different future, because if we just want to get through this, like most people just want to get through this time and then go back to the way things were, it's going to keep coming back, right? I mean,
well, one way of understanding that, you know, just imagine one person, right? And they have a particular unconscious stuff that's not resolved and not integrated, like some shadow stuff or trauma or whatever, right? Well, what's going to happen? You go to sleep at night and your dream, which is just compensatory, is just going to reflect back, the very stuff that you need to look at. And if you don't get the message, well, guess what? Then you go to sleep the next night and you have a recurring dream, but it's a little bit more amplified because you didn't get the first message. And if you don't get that one, same thing, ad infinitum until you get the message. And this is a huge wake-up call. The way to understand terma, the hidden treasures, they're like an alarm clock. They're waking us up. This is a terma. The coronavirus is a terma, like it's an analog to a terma. It's waking us up. And if we don't get the message, people who think, oh, I just want to get through this and return to normal, no, then they're contributing to getting an even bigger wake-up call.
Wow. So people have to get, there is no return to normal. This is the game changer.
I'm writing an article now, the one on Wetiko virus and coronavirus, where I'm basically, that's one of the main things I'm saying, is that if you think we're going to return to normal, no. Those were the good old days, or, I'm putting that in quotes because we were killing ourselves. It was a collective psychosis. There's no returning to business as usual, and that you have
a lot of people, yeah.
You have to see through that illusion and go through whatever inner process, whether it's feeling grief or whatever. But, the thing I'm offering to people in the article I just sent out today, actually, is that, we're being offered a choice of either like freaking out and feeling overwhelmed and getting identified and caught by fear and anxiety and stress, or we're all feeling that incredible tension that's in the air, the incredible uncertainty, potentially fear, right? And yet there's a way of holding it where it can actually unlock that genie, that creative genie in the bottle, and we can access our creativity. That has never been more available to us.
Right, because that's when you're talking, I think that's what it comes down to. We can hold on to the past and pretend we want to go back there, or we can walk into uncertainty. We can walk into an uncertain future in a way that's more exciting than returning to a total global system that wasn't really working for the environment and for lots of people. So how do we walk into uncertainty with wonder and welcoming and genius and excitement? That's
totally. No, that's another great question. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your questions. And, keep in mind that this universe, has been uncertain every moment up until now, but we've been like pretending like we've been doing this.
Blinders on. Yes.
Make believe with blinders, whatever, that, oh yeah, that everything is in concrete. And we've been trying, interestingly, concretizing the whole universe. But the idea being, to answer your question, you see, what's really scary to me when we're isolated, if somebody is going through this and they don't have connection to other people who are also awakening, if they don't, in other words, have a sangha, have their tribe, their community, that to me would be a nightmare. That would be really, really scary. But the idea being, when you hook up with other people, and now so many of us are awakening, and interestingly, the word bodhisattva, my favorite translation of the word is a being in the process of awakening. And that's all of us. We're all like bodhisattvas in training. So as we're awakening, you discover, okay, we're not separate. We can actually connect with each other and help each other to stabilize our awakening and to deepen our awakening and to activate the collective genius that's, that gets conjured up when we do connect, and we can conspire to co-inspire each other. That's a true conspiracy theory, where we can actually have the realization we're all on the same side, that if I help you, it helps me because we're not separate. And so, in other words, this incredible portal has opened up for us to like actually have the realization of our nature, and to do that together in a way that amplifies that realization. And in a way, that's like sort of the pandemic that I want to create, with you and with everyone.
So the way I think you're saying to walk into uncertainty is not to have all the answers, but to also realize you're not alone, that we could build something together because we're all creative geniuses. We dream this up as a way out of the nightmare, and something
Right.
will unfold.
And when more of us have this realization of what we're contemplating, and this isn't some sort of weird new age thing, oh, Paul's just like this, whatever, I would
Well,
be
your time has come. You don't have to worry about that. This is your
right.
time.
No. This is something. This is actually, like I was saying, people are thirsting for seeing the deeper meaning.
Yeah.
This, I'm just offering. Hey, when you look at it this way, all of a sudden, it's an incredible offering. It contains its own medicine. It's an incredible gift. It's a hidden treasure. It's a terama. All of these things. But the thing is, it's a hidden treasure. Like quantum physics, everything depends in potential, and quantum physics is showing us that we participate in the creation of our universe moment by moment. The same thing with this treasure. How is it going to manifest? How with the gifts that are being offered to us by the coronavirus, they're only will manifest in their beneficial aspect if we get what they're revealing to us, and then we have to step into the dream, incarnate, and
How do you step into the dream? Yeah.
Yeah, and actually participate. It's a participatory sort of thing we have to do, just like quantum physics is showing. This is a participatory world. And then, so it's not just something you can passively watch and meditate and do mantras and think, oh, it's going to magically, that's to be narcissistic. At this point, yeah, you want to do your spiritual practice, but you also have to cross-pollinate with participating in the world and become, many people are talking about quantum activists. Become a quantum activist. Become, this awakened person in the dream, recognizing the dreamlike nature, connecting with other people who are realizing that, and you discover we can connect in a way where we dream ourselves awake, and that's evolutionary. That's what's being offered to us.
What does it mean to dream ourselves awake? So we are waking up because we know this is a dream now. So let's say, but we're not fully awake because we're stuck in the what we call a nightmare.
It's like when you have a lucid dream. It's not that hard to recognize that you're dreaming and have, become lucid, but it's incredibly easy and seductive. I don't want to cast a spell, or at least in my experience, it has been to, get entranced by the forms of the dream and forget.
Right.
So, I did, and then, I get absorbed back into the dream and I identify with it.
Awake. Yeah.
Right. But when we can connect with each other, we can actually help each other. Like I was saying before, to stabilize our lucidity, to deepen our realization, that's the real Sangha of the Buddha. And then when we do that, we just naturally attract more and more people who are also having that realization and who are activating the collective genius of all of us. And as we're realizing, my God, we're collectively dreaming this. Everybody is, but most people aren't aware of it. But as that virus spreads, that's the medicine for Wetiko, which is the medicine for the coronavirus. You see, because if we healed the coronavirus today and went back to, it would be that would be the nightmare, because then everybody thinks, oh, everything's okay. No, that's what we don't want to do.
Right. So when I'm dreaming, and then I dream you up because you're in my dream now, but you also are realizing that you're dreaming me up, and we kind of meet. That's the Sangha. That's the purpose of the Sangha, to know we're in this and we have some creative potential. We're not observers of reality. Yeah.
Right. We're not passive observers of a separate reality. Like you're dreaming me up. I'm a dream figure in your mind who's just, whatever I'm reflecting to you.
Right.
I'm dreaming you up similarly, to invoke out of me whatever it is I'm saying, and you're dreaming me up to dream you up, and vice versa ad infinitum. It's not a linear, it's a cybernetic synchronistic feedback loop that's happening every moment over time, but in no time. And that's why we don't see it. So what I'm pointing out is that, when you begin to see it and connect with other people who are seeing it, what are you discovering? But that we have this incredible, unimaginable creative potency and agency in ourselves.
Wait, let me just absorb that. So when you say I'm dreaming you up or you're dreaming up, this is the creative potential in me and in you to dream. It's a creative, active participant. I'm actively dreaming you up, even though I don't know that. And the world is actively dreaming this up as a creative potential. And I'm
the thing to understand is that, like, it's a collaborative dreaming. It's a co-dreaming. You're dreaming me up, but I'm dreaming you up, and you're dreaming me up to dream you up, and you're dreaming me up to dream you up. It's like there's no separate self. You know, we're both reciprocally co-arising together. And there's a way when you see that, you can like actually like play with that in a way where we actually activate each other's awakening process even more deeply. That's what I'm pointing at.
Hmm. So I'm not only dreaming you up, I've dreamed this whole corona thing up. I've dreamed the people in China or wherever this started, and every single person I pass on the street. So
Well, you
that's
have to be careful with that. That's kind of because, you know, that can really feed into an inflation or
okay.
this stuff like, oh, I'm so powerful, I'm the dreamer.
No,
No,
I'm not saying that. I'm saying everything's in our dream, right?
yeah, well, 7.5 billion of us humans, including all other sentient species, we're collaboratively dreaming this up together, right? But
Right.
the way the change happens, it's not like the change, the evolutionary change or the healing is going to happen by Congress passing a new law. No, the change happens individual by individual, you know? And any one of us, like a beautiful image is like if you take this glass of water and put sugar, grains of sugar, and you just dissolve them one by one, they'll just dissolve. It reaches the saturation point. You add one more grain of sugar and a crystal will manifest. Okay, that's our situation. Any one of us at maybe even at this moment, having this realization of the dreamlike nature, seeing their shadow, however we would describe it, just having an expansion of consciousness, that could be the grain of sugar that crystallizes a global awakening in our whole species. And that's why, as an artist, I'm creating an art happening called global awakening.